Owens did a live the other day, y'all. That shit's a must watch. And it goes into what I be telling y'all about this country, y'all. She actually repeated what I've been saying for years. America doesn't care about victims, man. Nobody cares about victims. And she went into depth, called out names. We gotta at least go through that part. I'll be at home in like a couple minutes. I told y'all about Terrence Williams. Told y'all that boy wasn't right. You're fine with the seatbelt. I didn't think it was in the morning. They're gonna miss it. Sleeping again, everybody. Cheating again. That shit right here, y'all. Shorty got one of the hardest albums out right now. Niggas don't even know. I'll be at home in like 2 minutes.
I want 29 million for it.
We're gonna get busy. Man, we on bullshit, K. You know how we do. Always on bullshit.
I don't be chasing these bitches, I text her like I might not call anymore. I make her feel like she's special, I send her a painting to see what type time we on. We might be late to the party, but we bringing bottles and weed, a couple of bottles. She said that she might go viral. We pour a couple of drinks and she get it started. The bad bitches following, shaking and trying to get followers. Popping till 5 in the morning. I got too drunk, started wilding and she started dancing and throwing it back like she horny. I fuck around on the weekend, so she got a weekend to show me how she really going it. She get me here like she needed a deep throwing demon. I'm grabbing her hair while she doing it. Grab on your hair while you doing it. Baby, a chord, it's sad, but listen to me. I got a bed to the side and I got some shoes that sit in the back of the seat. I cut her off, ain't no plan with me. I be gone by the night, ain't no land with me. Got a cup full of yum, ain't no time to retreat. Gotta pay me in full, I ain't coming for free. But baby, I'm chosen to promise the streets. I've been gone for too long, they forgot that it's me. Say she missed me, I know I've been gone.
This TMC the Don, yo. He all I be bumping for real. Shorty be going. This whole album hard. I might skip like 3 songs on this bitch. He need to start promoting this motherfucker. Put some money behind it.
For some weeks tryna diss me, we slide through they block and see nobody. We come through with hot shit like the Ghost Rider. They play high and see we just gon' go find them. I let you take control like the co-pilot. I like her the most cause she got low mileage.
This my shit right here. Shit. Yes, that's it. Use that sign that we never read it. Oh yeah, but let me show y'all what's going on with Candace Owens. She went into these pedophiles, man, and how a lot of these people that's head of these organizations are pedophiles.
And IDTV, come on.
And that's why Black Lives Matter was such a big thing. That's why it gained so much support. Shit that I've been telling y'all for a while.
Personal loans or medical bills. PDS debt has custom.
Let me go back.
To suspend your rational thinking. Chuck Smith is his name. CIA, Scandal, Potter's Fields Ministry announced that they were shutting down. They shut down in.
And remember I was telling y'all a lot of them Christian organizations are terrorist groups? Remember I was telling y'all that too? I don't know how many people's on that live.
Turning Point USA, I would say it's very. And he said, the feds, you get into trouble.
All right, here we go.
Orphanages. Director, the appellate court. Everyone just wanted to get this conviction, despite the fact that the cops, as he said, found a footprint, a palm print, plus 11 out of 17 items that they were looking for in his home. You are free to pursue that conversation in its entirety. Like, we're trying to include as much as we can for the sake of this podcast without going too long. It's just incredible, okay? The person who took the stand still remembers and emailed me, but somehow he's the victim, and Rob wants that to come across. He's annoyed that this has come up, right? Now, more interesting when put into the context of the fact that Calvary Chapel, full stop, has a long history of claims of intentionally putting pedophiles in positions of power, giving them access to children. And I'm not talking about institutions get big, okay? Like right now, if you even looked within public schools, you could find tons of instances, especially of like these young female teachers that go after high school kids, right? I'm talking about how would you feel if you kept learning that it was the principal at a school, like it kept being the principal of a school. This is by no means an exhaustive list, just to be clear, but I'm gonna just tell you like a few of these, right? Florida Calvary Chapel in Pompano Beach. The founder was a pastor named Rob Coy, not McCoy, to be clear, Rob Coy, who was a former Las Vegas casino entertainment director, turned religious leader for one of the Florida's biggest mega churches. And then he got a 4-year-old girl. Calvary Chapel of Woodlands. In 2024, the lead pastor was arrested after a sting operation into online sex abuse against children. Calvary Chapel Cary, the lead pastor, resigned amid allegations of incest with his own son, bullying, drug addiction, and the misuse of funds. Calvary Chapel in Orange County, the lead pastor, named Mission Viejo, was convicted of abusing 2 girls. Calvary Chapel Solid Rock, that's in Minnesota. Jason James Taylor was the lead pastor it's on the border of Wisconsin, by the way. He was among 6 people who were arrested following a solicitation of minors. It was a sting operation that was led by Minnesota's Human Trafficking Investigators Task Force. Then in Santa Ana, California, there's a fellowship of Calvary Chapels, which includes Idaho, the North County Chapel. They're currently being sued by victims who accuse the church of intentionally concealing a known sexual predator in their midst. They knew his history. They hired him anyways, Anthony Iglesias, and he's currently serving time. He was found guilty in Idaho State Correctional Facility for his crimes. The lawsuit alleges that when the victim's parents went to the lead pastor, Reverend Robert Davis, to discuss their son's sexual abuse, Davis acknowledged to them, and again, this is what the lawsuit is alleging, that he knew of Iglesias' history. And he stated words to the effect of, yeah, we knew, that's why we pulled him out of Thailand. Now, Thailand, by the way, was some orphanage program that they were running. Orphanages everywhere. For some reason, these churches are getting involved in orphanages, and then there's a lot of these abuse scandals. Now, there's also the former Calvary Chapel pastor in Virginia who pled guilty to child sex abuse. The former Calvary pastor's name was Doug DeAndrea. He is currently serving time in jail in Virginia on multiple charges related to child sex abuse. There's the Calvary Chapel in Fort Lauderdale in 2019. This is not the lead pastor, but an employee who was arrested after authorities say they found numerous downloaded images and videos of child pornography in his home computer. There is the Calvary Chapel in North Thurston, Oregon.
There's a lot of wild shit going on, y'all. This is why Black Lives Matter had so much support. And this goes into what I was telling y'all, that motherfuckers was supporting that Black Lives Matter shit, but they're not the ones benefiting off of it. I don't know if I put my drain plug in tight enough. Let's see if I got it. Hit that like button. Damn, my computer upstairs. Shit. Yo, one of these hats. Huh? Why not? Why not? Yo, it's supposed to get cold outside, yo. What the question is that? Is Umar next on the list? That's what's up. The sound still woke? Umar probably should have been first on the list. The way his ass. I think Umar's part of Black Lives Matter, man. To be honest. That's how he been able to get away with the fuck shit for so long. Umar Johnson not organic. Umar Johnson part of the system. I believe. Goldie, what it is? Could have got me shadow banned, bro. They got me shadow banned. You just gotta tap in, y'all. Just tap in any day. You know, we're gonna be live at some point. And man, you might catch the replay. You know, you go against the grain, yo. You shadow ban you every now and then. Yeah, you know, when you go against the grain, that's what they do. So maybe a phone settings or our YouTube settings. Now, I don't know what it is, bro. I know they doing a number on us. It is what it is, though. We ain't stopping. It'll turn back around. It'll turn back around eventually. If not, just make sure y'all share the lives. Don't tell me this shit ain't charged up again, y'all. It should be charged up all fucking day. Make sure you share the live. Hit the like button, hit the hype button. Like I told y'all before, you can't count on YouTube to push real. It's never gonna happen. They're never gonna push real. They're only gonna push fuckery. And what I tell y'all about Terrence Gangsta Williams, man? Told y'all that boy wasn't right. I think most people that, you know, that been in trouble before knew that Terrence wasn't right. The boy, what that boy name is? OG Murder. The boy OG Murder got on his heels. Alrighty. What you talking about? Somebody just... It's no fake. What the fuck did you do that for, man? You see everybody changing their tune on Dirk now, right? Look, Loyalty Betrayal scrambling, scraping over that bitch. I got some paperwork. I got some new Dirk paperwork too. She's scrambling, scraping. That case falling apart. Yo, anything that's built on a lie falls apart eventually, man. That's why we saying what we saying over here in the United States. And all this Epstein leaks and shit. Shit was built on a lie, man. Can't keep a lie forever. They never had strong evidence on Dirk. They never had it. If they did, they would have released it by now. You know, these people love the grandstand, man. They love to show their hand. You feel me? Especially if they got motherfucking Trumps. I mean, they got a handful of spades. They want to show that. But when they ain't got no strong hand, they're gonna try their best to hide that motherfucker for as long as possible. You got witnesses changing statements. You know what I mean? You got witnesses changing statements. You got prosecutors and judges. You got prosecutors and judges that was being threatened with the defense never knowing. Like that prejudice the damn that prejudice the whole system. Y'all was out here getting threatened on behalf of my client. Yeah, we can't expect you at that point. We can't expect you to be fair and impartial. You can't. It's a conflict of interest. Something got to be done, y'all. Something got to be done in Dirk case. It's conflict of interest. Now, they can override it. Yo, but what the appeals court gonna say? I think people be forgetting about appeals, y'all. A lot of federal cases get overturned on appeal. Not like a whole lot, but their cases get overturned. Yo, why now this shit ain't even trying to charge up, man? Come on, man. I had this bitch charged all day. Appreciate it, Queen Supreme. Had this bitch charged all day. Now, hold on. I'm gonna let this Candace own shit play while I figure this out.
And this one's a doozy, okay? The lead pastor
this guy, Jeffrey Keon Ziz. He confessed to sexual misconduct, which involved his 3 daughters over a period of 2 years. The incestuous abuse started when the daughter was 11. He went to prison for 11 months, and then when he got out,
11 months?
He murdered an 80-year-old and poured concrete, 82-year-old, and then he was supposed to be her handyman, and then he murdered her and poured concrete over her body to hide the body. Okay? Again, we're not even scratching the surface here. This is by no means a definitive list. I could go on, but I have to tell you that this does not feel organic to me. Okay? Yeah. Yes, institutions are corruptible, churches are corruptible, but this feels to me like something a bit more sinister and a bit more organized. Okay. It makes me think of the notorious guy, I've covered this in the past. It's why I did not cover the Diddy case. Everyone thought he was insane. Remember, he shot up the Trump Miami Doral. He didn't kill anyone. But then when he sat down, he said the feds are running a cartel operation. And when people get into trouble, this is what he alleged before anybody knew anything about Diddy. He said, I was one of Diddy's sex slaves. And he said, I was Diddy and Cassie's sex slaves. Cassie then verified on the stand that she knew who this man was, and that he had been invited to these parties. And he said, the feds, you get into trouble, and then suddenly, if you want to stay out of prison, you're now working for us. And he said that he was alleging that they run drugs, right? That they blackmail certain people and they run drugs. Something that Kanye also said, an episode that's virtually impossible to find online because it was during his cancellation, that he knew, again, this was before Diddy got into trouble, that Diddy had been blackmailed by the feds, and that part of his deal was that he had to keep certain other people in line like Kanye. So this theme is kind of coming up when you start to see people who have been not just accused of crimes, but convicted of crimes, and they wind up in positions of power or in positions of extreme wealth. I think it's pretty fair for us to ask questions about how that is happening. And now, flipping back to, moving from the Diddy insinuations here, flipping back to Rob McCoy, that's not the only scandal that he's been involved in. He's been involved in a few scandals, right? There was also a Potter's Field scandal, and this is kind of really relevant to leading up to what he's doing now with Turning Point USA. I would say it's very relevant. Potter's Field is an area up in Whitefish, Montana, and the Calvary Church Association funded a ministry which came to be known as Potter's Fields Ministries, right? Up there, they have a hunting ground, they have a camp for kids, they have a student program known as Ignite. They even have like a burger chain. I mean, a lot of money was flowing up there. And in 2019, the ministry came under a scandal with reports of financial abuse, psychological abuse. Essentially, the Calvary Chapel church members were funding the ministry, believing that money was going to help and feed and clothe children in Uganda, in Cambodia, in Costa Rica, in Guatemala. But apparently it wasn't actually going there, okay? They thought their money was going to train students that were going to become missionaries worldwide, but no one really exactly knew where the money was going. And this is interesting because they specifically ran a student program called Ignite. And one of those students wound up blowing the whistle on what she alleges was intentional financial fraud. That student's name was Kenzie Kinney. Okay, she handled Potter's Field's finances. And here is what she said verbatim about how this not-for-profit would pretend that they were feeding tons of kids worldwide, but actually they were having her engage in fraudulent activity, allegedly. She said, quote, this would be a very high guesstimate of how many kids were actually in this program. I would say maybe like 500, and that would be between all 5 countries, Kinney said. Kinney added that the Rosells, that's the family that was running this program, would show videos with hundreds of children being fed during their presentations in order to solicit donations from Calvary church members, but that those images were from infrequent, larger pastor conferences. She remembered working with about 20 kids on a weekly basis during her time in the program. She also said that Potter's Field workers were told to Photoshop old letters from kids in the program, with the altered letters being sent out to donors. She said, quote, we would always have to cut off the dates so that they wouldn't know how old the photos were. Then we just photocopy hundreds of them and then just trifold them all and mail them out, because we mail out these little things like, thanks again for your support. And here is, you know, a thing from your prayer child. They wrote you a letter. Amidst the scandal, Potter's Fields Ministry announced that they were shutting down. They shut down in 2019, and they brought in Pastor Rob McCoy as a CFO to help steer the ship of their finances. And by steering the ship, I mean that the money was transferred into his church. That was done above board. They notified the people that that was what was going to happen with the finances. But it becomes increasingly interesting when I keep insisting to you guys that there was something about Turning Point USA Faith that to me reads like an infiltration of sorts, okay? That is what it looks like to me. Something dramatically changed. The organization that was about free markets and capitalism suddenly became faith. And you have these pastors, and they feel sleazy to me. They just do. Okay, they're not honest. We have caught Rob McCoy in multiple lies, so I don't ship him as a person that you would want stewarding your faith. And when you add in the fact that Calvary Chapel was the chief offender, okay, these churches, when they were all getting on stage for Operation Mocking Pastor, where they were all saying the same thing about me and Tucker Carlson, they were the number one offenders. I am not kidding. You start to ask yourself, what is guiding the Calvary Chapel, right? What is behind this? Do you really think this is all just accidental? Their obsession with Christian Zionism, Jack Hibbs among them. We mentioned him yesterday, his brother Butch Hibbs, who was just everywhere. Before and after Charlie's assassination, there's like footage of him, which I don't think we have for today. I think we did pull it, but I didn't ask you to pull it for right now. And you ask yourself, I got emails from people saying that Pastor Hibbs, Jack Hibbs, has gone like mask down. He seems to be coming undone. He's hosting 5 a.m. calls against me and Tucker Carlson, and they're realizing, am I in a church or did I sign up for something completely different? The history, the CIA implications of who exactly started the Calvary Chapel, which kind of became the offshoot of the hippies movement. Chuck Smith is his name, CIA character that was close to him. The implications here, when you look at all of the military characters that are involved, really have me asking a lot of questions. You want to know who was also asking a lot of questions? Charlie Kirk was asking a lot of questions towards the end of his life, right? He was asking questions, hitting hard about Jeffrey Epstein on his show. He was exasperated at one point, saying, basically, I've covered this, I'm upset about this, and you could sense that from high up, he was being told to stop speaking about Jeffrey Epstein, and he was pushing back on that. He then tells Tucker Carlson to go max against Jeffrey Epstein. For whatever reason, this guy, similar to these characters, had a history, he had been convicted, and yet he was still welcomed into every circle. He still is welcome into every circle. You guys still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? We're now getting these emails, and it only further implicates this administration in an astounding cover-up. All of this, again, the truest victims being the children, okay? We are a nation that is ruled by perverts. We just are. And we're not the only nation, by the way. We're not the only nation. I would almost say the entire web of Western civilization seems to be ruled by perverts. That's the common thread between my investigations into Brigitte Macron and his strange relationship with Emmanuel Macron, the Fed level cover-up, which includes a never-before-seen lawsuit, which is just meant to be propagandist, to make people think of there's nothing here, which should let you know that everything is here. You start to peel the layer of the onion into our Epstein series that we have done, and it looks like they created Hollywood and fashion and movies as a means to traffic individuals, right? No one would blink twice. If you're trafficking individuals, a bunch of women come in and they're in part of a fashion campaign, a part of fashion show.
Ain't that what the dude from what's the call was doing? Abercrombie and Fitch. That's what Abercrombie and Fitch dude was doing. We ain't heard nothing about that case since. He got locked up right after Diddy. Why them boys ain't went to trial yet, man? What the fuck going on? That shit was a psyop or something. Remember what he was doing, yo? He was luring these so-called straight males in. offering them opportunities to model for Abercrombie and Fitch. But he was really tricking them into sex parties. That's what he was doing.
Jeffrey Epstein had his financial tentacles involved in modeling.
The crazy thing about it is, right? I've been saying this type of shit for forever. But it's like people would rather hear from Candace. And that's cool. Long as somebody's saying it and getting the views. They ain't gotta be me. Long as somebody got the attention of the people. And they listening and paying attention about what the fuck is really going on out this bitch.
He was involved in the movie agencies, anywhere that you could cast people. That's where his tentacles were. And I'm not feeling good about these churches. I got to tell you that right now. I'm not feeling good about all of the Christian Zios that they are sending out to defend, to say, don't look anywhere. Don't pay attention to anything Candace is saying. I know she's presenting facts, but let's just focus on her dream. Trying to make her like a crazy person. Something very sinister is going on. And I am telling you, the Charlie Kirk case is like the undoing of everything. We are really starting to wake up to how things work. And I think that Charlie did not appreciate exactly how things were working, not just in the Epstein case, right? Not just in Israel and its long arm across the world. I told you Charlie was hitting at the Ukraine stuff. That was part of my timeline. That's when you really start to see Turning Point Faith ratchet up, is when Charlie is going day in and day out, speaking about what goes on in Ukraine, speaking about the trafficking of kids in Ukraine. He's just tweeting every day about that stuff. And then poof, Turning Point Faith seems to just kind of take off, like in a way that I've never seen, right? All of these characters who have very shady backgrounds, including Sean Foyt. There's like an article from September 30th talking about the mismanagement of funds, accusing him of the mismanagement of funds. All of a sudden, we're supposed to go, oh, well, you know, this is clearly a church mission. So if you don't, you know, support Turning Point Faith, especially given this terrible thing that they're going through, these were his real friends, and there's something wrong with you. You're not godly, right? It's godly to accept the Fed narrative. It's godly to suspend your rational thinking and to just assume that all of these churches, which have way too many military men who come from a long line of powerful military families, they really are just about the mission, right? They're all just really good people, and that bad things continue to happen to. I don't like it, you guys. I don't like it at all. This reeks. It's all coming together right now. You're starting to see. Now we know what exactly, which I'm going to get into in more detail tomorrow. Okay, yeah. The Trump administration seems to have been hiding these emails. They're not good. Okay? They are completely indefensible, but I already told you, I was done with MAGA at the moment he looked us in the face and he said, what files, right? What are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Pam Bondi said it was a Democrat hoax. No, I think the entire nation has been hoaxed by Republicans and Democrats, and there are pervert elites that sit at the top. That's my suspicion. We'll take a quick break and come back in a second.
I agree. Yo. The Black Lives Matter got way too big, way too fast. Way too much corporate dollars. And no accountability. A few people took a fall, but for the way they hit and the amount of money they accumulated, man, heads is supposed to roll behind that shit, man. Big ass scam. Big ass scam, yo. And they always use black people. Or black issues. It's like, yo, we be out here fighting for shit that's not gonna benefit us in no way. And we've been doing that shit for years. And we still ain't caught on to the play. As a whole. Yo, motherfuck my computer. Yo, that shit just was charging the whole day upstairs. Now the bitch ain't charging.
That's my suspicion. We'll take a quick break and come back in a second. Every high interest. What we have discovered is actually so big that I had to go through the proper channels to get this information to government first, and that was very tricky because I don't know who we can trust in government, right? It kind of feels like the government is implicated in trying to stop us from getting the truth about what happened on that day. So I had to be very careful, and I had to kind of back wheel and deal and try to figure out who the good guys were. And long story short, we're pausing that until tomorrow because I wanted to give some people a little bit more time on that. So I will have that for you tomorrow. Another element of this, by the way, as we talk about the I don't know, but it's very clearly a psychological operation. They all have the same talking points. They're all using different emotionally manipulative tactics. So, oh, you can't question this because, like, you know, he has a widow and kids, and it'd be so harmful to try to figure out who killed him. Just like on its face, that is such a nonsense. First and foremost, whenever there is a murder, full stop, the first people that you should be questioning is there a financial incentive? Is there a financial incentive? Yes, this is an $80 million company. Did people close to him? Do you have friends that were jealous? Was he in any fights? This is such a normal quest. It is completely normal. If anybody watch IDTV, it's come on, what are we talking about, right? This is such a normal thing to consider. And they are trying to pretend that natural incursion is just not palatable right now. We just need you guys to buy a t-shirt. We need you to buy a freedom t-shirt and just keep this organization going, even though it seems to have a lot of very questionable characters involved. It's a bit ridiculous. I'm very awake to, and I think you guys are as well, to these psychological tactics. And I've often discussed how in America, it is the media that intentionally fosters this sort of a culture. And in some regard, it's a Judas culture, right? There is a psychology that has manifested where people are encouraged to sell out their friends and even their family members in order to spare or advance themselves or to advance their careers.
Come on,
That's
y'all.
today's version in my...
How long have I been saying that, though, y'all? How long have I been saying that? Look at prime example. Prime example of what she's talking about is for Sean Rock and the whole family. Prime example, yo. That's the thing to do now, man. You have to sell out your whole family. Just sell completely out. Sell your image, your morals, your principles, your honor, your dignity, your integrity. Anything that's supposed to make a decent human being. You got to sell that shit out. And all you get in return is money, man. And it's a lot of people willing to take that deal. But when it come out Candace Owens' mouth, motherfuckers support it, salute it. When I say it, for some reason they don't hit the same. But I watched this video, I say, dang, Candace Owens, she on her shit today. This was yesterday. I don't even know what she did today. I ain't even watch it. This side. What's up, Shara, baby?
To sell out their friends and even their family members in order to characters involved. It's a bit ridiculous. I'm very awake to, and I think you guys are as well, to these psychological tactics. And I've often discussed how in America, it is the media that intentionally fosters this sort of a culture. And in some regard, it's a Judas culture, right? There is a psychology that has manifested where people are encouraged to sell out their friends and even their family members in order to spare or advance themselves or to advance their careers. That's today's version, in my view, of the 30 pieces of silver, right? That's what you see playing out on the world stage when someone tries to struggle session a person into making a statement against one of their friends. Candace, you're better than Kanye. You have your whole life ahead of you. You'll have more of a future if you just say this one thing. Call him Adolf Hitler. Call him an anti-Semite. No, thank you. I said no.
Yeah.
Charlie, oh, Candace.
That's how they be coming to them people, y'all. And people was willing to say that shit, y'all. People was willing to totally go against the grain. Yo, what was Young Thug doing earlier, y'all? That was the whole point of that video I did earlier. Saying that we all just need to apologize. You know, get it out the way. Because that seems like that's what the fuck going on anyway. Niggas is just apologizing for no reason. They could be right. And just because a motherfucker want the world to believe they ain't right, you gotta get out that bitch and apologize and blame that shit on mental health and all these other things. Man, I ain't with none of that. You hear me? Y'all know I ain't with it. If I say something, I mean it. I ain't gonna say nothing I don't mean. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But I'm not apologizing if I'm Kyrie Irving. You feel me? I'm not apologizing if I'm Kanye West. I'm not apologizing if I'm motherfucking Nick Cannon. You understand what I'm saying? But that's what we got. That's what we dealing with. A bunch of fuckboys that don't stand on nothing.
No, thank you. I said no. Charlie, Candace is heading into a direction that's only going to hinder you. We demand as donors that you do not let her speak at AmFest. She's just a bad person. You got to make a statement against her. Charlie said no. Megyn Kelly, it's your career or it's Tucker Carlson. You decide, right? I'm your friend. I just want to help you. Tucker Carlson, he's really going a bad way. She said no. This is how it goes. It just made me so happy yesterday. Totally just was hyped. Especially, I think we all feel this way when you see this psychology employed and someone just completely annihilates it immediately. And Tucker did just that yesterday, or at least yesterday is when the clip went live. He completely embarrassed this English reporter who was effectively playing this game with him, asking Tucker to condemn me live on his show. Take a listen to this awesome clip.
Your good friend Candace Owens has been putting out some pretty wacko stuff, I would say, would be my opinion, on the death of Charlie. It's not helpful, is it, that, you know, at that time of incredible national upheaval and obviously personal and familial family tragedy, to have someone like that picking apart the argument and suggesting that there are darker forces at play here that the US government have a hand in covering up. It just, can you see why people get upset by that and would like you perhaps to sort of distance yourself from that sort of thing?
Damn. Hey, yo.
Pretty funny. So
yo, that was a soft press. You said, hey, yo, these people that mastered the art of the soft press. That's what that was, yo. He tried to soft press him. All right, I think I might got it now. Let's do him again.
Some pretty...
This was hyped. Especially, I think we all feel this way when you see this psychology employed and someone just completely annihilates it immediately. And Tucker did just that yesterday, or at least yesterday is when the clip went live. He completely embarrassed this English reporter who was effectively playing this game with him, asking Tucker to condemn me live on his show. Take a listen to this awesome clip.
Your very good friend Candace Owens has been putting out some pretty wacko stuff, I would say, would be my opinion, on the death of Charlie. It's not helpful, is it, that, you know, at that time of incredible national upheaval and obviously personal and familial family tragedy, to have someone like that picking apart the argument and suggesting that there are darker forces at play here that the US government have a hand in covering up. It just, can you see why people get upset by that and would like you perhaps to sort of distance yourself from that sort of thing?
Pretty funny. So am I going to attack Candace Owens because you
I'm not asking you to attack. I'm not asking you to attack her.
I'm not going to do that, Harry.
No,
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt as a foreigner of not understanding our politics, but the whole ritual of this person said something I don't like. In order to be a good person, you must denounce this person. Obviously, I would die before I played along with that. I don't know anyone who's saying that it was the moral authority to compel me. I don't know anyone saying that it was any moral authority at all. And I would say broadly, not about Candace, comma, whom I love, comma, but about all people. Getting to the truth is the most important thing. I've devoted my life to it. I haven't always done a very good job at all, but it still remains to this day my animating motive. I want to know what the truth is. Again, I don't always get there. I often usually don't get there. But I want to be the guy who cares what's true. A. B, if you're telling me that because the U.S. government or some law enforcement agency issues a statement that doesn't even make sense, that I'm required somehow morally to accept that and not ask any questions like, can you hear yourself? I mean, what are you saying?
It's just perfection. It's just literal perfection.
Yo, see, my thing is, right? I don't gotta agree with anything somebody say. Yo, but if you say something and stand on it, I can't beef with you over it. You standing on it. Whether people disagree or not, if this is what you truly believe and you standing on it, I gotta respect you, yo. I gotta respect you. You know why? Because we living in a day and time, yo, where these people are back off their position. You know, we living in a world where these people say things that they don't mean in order to secure a bag or to not mess up a bag or to just get a bag in general. So whenever you got a person that's willing to sacrifice a couple dollars, you know, for the greater good of the people, regardless of if you agree with them or not, it's a group of people that agrees with this. And you gotta respect that shit, man. Straight up. Got to.
It's just perfection. It's just literal perfection. What are you doing? Stop trying to gaslight us. You are a part of exactly what we need to defeat. You are a part of the establishment, this organ of people who use psychological tactics to try to make us think we are crazy for not accepting something that just makes no rational sense. So this is just a bad time, and this is a wacko jacko. Everybody's crazy when you start questioning the feds. Suddenly they want to call you crazy. And Tucker just annihilates it instantly. He's like, get out of here. I don't know where you're from. Okay, I assume you're a foreigner and you think that this is how things work in America. And we're just going to accept the Fed slop because that's what we should do as polite citizens. No, get out of here. We want to know who killed Charlie Kirk because this story seems pretty dark. It seems pretty deep. And everyone that should be using their platforms to try to get to the bottom of what happened to him and asking similar questions is instead calling out Candace Owens and waiting for her to make a mistake so they can try to delegitimize every effort that she is making to get to the bottom of this thing. It just reeks. It reeks to high heaven. And so I absolutely adore Tucker for that. I adore him for just standing up for me. And obviously he's seasoned, so he sees right through it in the same way that I do. But that is the way forward. That is the way forward when people are trying this on you, trying to manipulate you using Bible verses like Allie did after she just ceded so much, essentially fundamentally called me a liar in her own way about various things, is now pretending she's like an injured bird because I responded, and I responded nicely, but suddenly trying to tell you it's not biblical for you to pry into what's happened to the Charlie Kirk assassination case. This is just not biblical. Yeah, it's a complete nonsense. She did a video yesterday. I don't get dreams like Candace. We see what you're doing. It's petty. Now you're being petty Betty. If you want to get involved and look in this case, do it. If you don't, step aside. You are not required to respond to Candace Owens' content. That's actually not a requirement. You can keep doing your content, telling people that what you do is biblical while you ignore the glaring obvious crimes of Israel, which you refuse to ever denounce your support for. You know what I'm not doing? I'm not killing tens of thousands of children in Palestine. And trying to legitimize it to my audience by telling them that somehow this is what God wants because it's right here in the Bible. I don't know. That's so. I'm going to be done addressing her, but I just wanted to say that these are all manipulative tactics. Some of them more evil than others, but that's what's happening right now. And we have to just stay focused on solving what happened to Charlie Kirk. And the feds are not helping, maybe because Kash Patel is busy crying over his girlfriend. He really needs to believe that she likes him for him. I don't believe that. I actually don't accept that Alex Wilkins, who comes from a family of Freemasons and who's got a spotty background, nobody knows what she was doing in Switzerland, just loves him for him and was in the right place at the right time. By the way, I should mention Alexis Wilkins is her name, Alexis Wilkins. She's also a member of the Calvary Chapel Church in California, Chino Hills. Also the Babylon Bee guy, I can't think of his name right now, is also involved in the Calvary Chapel. We got to look into this Calvary Chapel thing. It's getting interesting. It just is getting interesting. Irrespective of that, the lawsuit, filing a lawsuit to convince yourself or backing your life partner as she files a lawsuit because somebody made a joke, because that's what Elijah Schaffer's lawsuit is about. It's a joke. And in the lawsuit, they talk about his anti-Israel rhetoric. Who cares? He doesn't go there. He can speak trash about Israel if he wants to. In fact, I encourage him to do that. Anyway,
platform, man. Cash that Baltimore swag, man. Support the motherfucking try and get a water heater, man. Just got my water heater went up. All right, so you want to support the what the fuck, y'all? The campaign for the water heater. That shit went like fucking stupid. All right, so let's charge it. How about y'all?
check this out. I'm going to show you how I can afford this F-150. All right, guys. So check this out. $178 was what I was paying for my previous policy. Anyways, obviously, this has backfired. The lawsuit, people are now making jokes. They're making songs. And I adore Tim Dillon. He's very funny. He's very, very much needed humor. And he decided to look into this lawsuit and to see if there was something there. He was particularly interested in why Cash called her a sensational singer. That felt emotional, unnecessarily emotional. Anyways, take it away, Tim Dillon.
Can we get any of her music up, or will we get a copyright strike from the FBI? If we play Cash Patel's girlfriend's country music, will we get a copyright strike from the feds? Because I'm curious, by the way, if she's a country music sensation, I would just like to know that.
A lot of people starting to catch on that a lot of these people on the internet ain't right. It's a beautiful thing to see, man.
I would like to know that. I'd like to be, I think if we just play a little bit, it'll be okay. Okay. Tel Aviv, I've been in Tel Aviv, it's such a pretty city. I love Tel Aviv, Israel is for me. I love Cash Patel, Indians don't smell, that's a stereotype. I'm just a country star, I met him at a bar.
With Brigitte Macron, apparently the president of France watches Tim Dillon. And we talked about the Brigitte case, and so he's drafted in there anyways. I'm looking forward to them putting Tim Dillon under oath. I don't know about the rest of you. Obviously, that's what America needs. This will be the only thing, and the only thing that we have good going for us at this moment would be Tim Dillon under oath. And I strongly advise that Elijah Schaffer puts him under oath as well. Now that he's making these kinds of jokes, Cash Patel should obviously sue Tim Dillon. I totally support that. If you'd like me to testify, Cash, give me a call. Absolutely amazing. All right, you guys, we are going to take a brief break, and then I'm going to come back and answer some of your comments and questions.
I just wanted to show y'all that Candace Owens is starting to come around to a lot of things that we've been saying for so long over this bitch. My man Fly Guy been sending me shit on Terrence Williams. OG murder on his ass. I don't know why people in New Orleans so silent about Terrence Williams. They know what he did. They know what he did, man.
Here's the thing about it,
excuse me.
It's crazy because if you ever been through the prison system, whether state or federal, you knew that narrative that Terrence Gates Williams was running with was a lie. You should have known that was a lie because ain't nobody gonna get no life sentence plus 20 years and wind up getting all that shit thrown away because they told on dead people.
I've been saying that from the beginning. Like that narrative made zero sense.
Come on in 4 years, do you a favor and throw all of that time away and let you back home free. Now, this is something else I want y'all to know. Don't think not for 1 minute that he's still not employed by the federal government. They're not gonna give you such a big
How long I've been saying that?
You're not still gonna be working. So I'm aware. Y'all can believe what y'all want to believe, but I understand that this cat is still working. And he's a snake. You know, some would say, well, check, man, you got on the internet and spoke on Baby and Hot Visa. Okay, I'm not in the streets. I'm not squeezing it and stepping and doing all this, right? So I can justify what I said, although I didn't go all the way through with it, but I can justify how I felt because they committed some acts against me and my best friend. Could I have handled it a different way? Yes, if I'm gonna be totally transparent. Also, like I said, I didn't fully go because I was advised not to, and I like I said, I felt like I went about that the wrong way. But here's the thing, like I said, these guys, from what I know, did something towards me. These people that Terrence Gangster Williams put away for life did him nothing.
Did him nothing.
But had a conversation with him. You literally sought out people and their crimes to cooperate with the federal government to put people away randomly to reduce your sentence. Boy, you put away COs.
Yeah. Told y'all.
You told on COs for bringing work into the prison.
Yep.
Everybody know that that's the biggest strike that you don't do in the prison system. I was the mojo man. Ask anybody who was running through the prison system that ran across me in the prison system, they'll let you know. No cap. So you literally was going from prison to prison with intentions of taking somebody down so you can come home. Man, you out of there. You federal informant. Gotcha, bitch.
Yo.
Here's the thing about it. You know,
there's no way.
It's crazy because
there's no way
you ever
that Terrence was going to provide that substantial amount of assistance to the federal government and come home and think he's not still working. Like, for people that support you and watch you, it's no, ain't no way you believe that. Yo, that man provided substantial assistance. He gave a life sentence back in the feds off of snitching, off of telling, man. And he was the head of the indictment. Like, he wasn't no low boy. This is a major arrest for the federal government in New Orleans. So for him to come home, you know he had to done some wild things, man. You hear me? He had to done some wild shit. And, you know, he's still working. You don't work with the federal government once, y'all. Anybody ever worked with the federal government before is still working with the federal government currently. They one phone call away. You hear me? One phone call away. Whenever we need you, bitch, you better answer. Or we coming through with indictments. It's straight up.
2012. Present at various times during these interviews were Assistant United States Attorney Matthew, can't pronounce that last name, EDNY, New York State Detectives, were also there.
He's going jail to jail.
After being advised of the identity of the interviewing agent or detectives and the nature of the interview, Williams provided the following information. Williams stated that he is currently sharing a cell, number 22, since May of 2012 in the Segregated Housing Unit, SHU, of the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC. Let me say that again. Since May of 2012, Mr. Williams stated that he was currently sharing a cell, number 22, in the Segregated Housing Unit, SHU, of the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, Brooklyn, New York,
But it is.
with Timothy Pickney. Williams further stated Pickney told Williams that they, law enforcement, were trying to hook Pickney to SDOT. Williams explained that Pickney is nervous.
Fucking with Sean Tim.
Pickney committed sometime in 2008 on Long Island for retaliation of a member of the Wu-Tang rappers being killed. Pickney confided in Williams that Pickney, is very nervous about the law enforcement finding out about his murder. Pickney described himself as being on camera during this murder and that it took place inside the project housing lobby. Pickney also stated that Williams that Pickney, shot an individual in the stomach who survived and the other victim died.
Yo, a bitch.
Pickney recounted that they drove to the location in a Lincoln Navigator.
One of the worst people in jail is the jailhouse rat.
Pickney was nervous about doing this job on Long Island because they closed down the bridge if something happens. Williams recalled that Pickney may have mentioned being in possession of a .40 caliber Glock and at the time of the shooting. Williams was also told by Pickney that Pickney, was involved in a jewelry store robbery in which a Spanish guy was shot sometime in 2008 or 2009. Pickney described an ammo clip being left behind and that $12,000 to $13,000 in cash was taken. Williams stated that in regards to violence with SDOT, Pickney explained
They playing with our numbers bad.
Since Pickney was beefing with guys about SDOT's way, Pickney offered fire on a car on a Sunday morning, killing an innocent man who was with his child. Williams was also told by Pickney that Pickney, killed one of SDOT's workers by the name of Williams believes Delvin in retaliation for Pickney being shot by one of SDOT's crew. Pickney explained that this occurred because Pickney was extorting SDOT. Pickney explained that this occurred because Pickney was extorting SDOT. Williams also recalls, now remember these are recollections of Terrence Williams during an investigation in MDC in 2012 while he was being held there in New York. Williams also recalled that Pickney stated that Pickney killed the guy for SDOT in 2005 who was still in SDOT's cell phone. Pickney explained that SDOT pointed the guy out and that Pickney, shot this individual in the face 4 times while the victim he was with fled the scene. Pickney described the victim as wearing a USA sweater and that SDOT's baby mother called and said that dude is there. Pickney described that before the murder, they went to get a .380 handgun. Pickney further described to Williams that the weapon, along with one other, may have been confiscated by the police after a disturbance at Pickney's baby mother's shower. Williams described that he himself was the trigger man on 3 separate murders in 1994. He robbed and killed an individual by the name of Lionel over a half a kilo. Killed a crackhead who paid the product for who paid for product with an inoperable gun and also killed the customer who complained about the product. Prior to these murders, Williams claimed that he was implicated in 3 others, but was exonerated. The first of these murders was in 1992, when Walter Johnson killed an individual over jewelry. And other murder occurred in 1992, when a small child was killed initially in the projects, and Williams' name came up. And a third murder in August 1994, when Williams was stabbed in the stomach in June and was recovering.
And he talked about how Bezo.
Williams further explained that at his sentencing on federal drug charges, his sentence was enhanced despite his cooperation because of being present at 2 homicides committed by his crew. Now, at the bottom of this document is a handwritten note. This is page 2 of what I just read to you. And the handwriting states, you want to uphold the image of what your brothers live. You committed murders and you claim you changed.
Then they wrote a lot of notes.
You assaulted an inmate with a weapon and you are in the box right now for a weapon.
A judge wrote this.
Your brothers are influential people in the music industry and you are doing anything you can get out. You are doing anything to get out there to enjoy the successes. What's up, gangster?
Gangster dirtball, man. Look. Yeah, dirtball. New Orleans man arrested 17 years after murder.
I got the latest for New Orleans man arrested 17 years after murder. The first headline from WDSU on MSN.com is New Orleans police arrest Oklahoma City man in connection with killing of Algiers teen.
I forgot his fucking name. What the fuck is what's Habizo name, right? Forgot his name. But I did a video on it. I showed y'all that numerous times. That man did a lot of telling, y'all. A whole lot of telling. And people be like, well, I don't give a fuck. You should. You support a nigga like this?
We got your sealed files, baby. You know the files that's supposed to be sealed? So you only told on dead people, right? Let's see. That's the United States of America versus Terrence Williams. It's over. So giggity. And for all the people who be dick riding giggity, he only told on dead people, right?
Yo, nobody really believed that, y'all. Nobody that ever been in jail or prison, state or federally, believed that. And if you did, yo, you just one of them. You just was one of them guys that wasn't keeping up with, don't know law. You know, because everybody that go to jail don't know law. Some people ain't even interested in knowing it. But anybody that knew anything about law, yo, knew that was bogus, man. Yo, there's no benefit. There's no benefit to telling on dead people. There's no benefit. Yeah, man, they get the closed cases, but when you arrested, you know, they get money off of that. So if you're going to tell, they need to be able to replace that money. If you're going to tell, we let you out, we're going to need another body to keep the cash flow going. So it was no way that's the only way he came home. That's one of the ways. Yeah, but that ain't the only way. That ain't even the most important way. That was just the icing on the cake. Solve some cases for us. But man, he definitely left some bodies in the motherfucking jail cells to rot. And he out this bitch online talking about Terrence Civilian Williams and getting paid for interviews and motherfuckers watching him and supporting that dumbass shit. I don't watch none of that shit. Him or Woody.
I wanted to do this on your birthday, man. But they told me I missed your birthday. I was going to give you the biggest gift ever on your birthday. So I wanted to give you a gift from me and Grandma Murder. You only told on the dead, right? So you know what that means? At any point in this paperwork, if any one of these people are alive, I don't know. We got to read to see. Could be telling the truth that he told on dead people. That's still ratting to me. But Giggity said he only told on dead people. And people in the comments be saying, he told on dead people. He told on dead people. Y'all ready for the facts?
That man is dishonorable, man. A dishonorable piece of shit. That's what Terrence Williams is.
Pop 2 quarters and pop tart. Let me get in that ass. Okay, y'all. Let's get to it. Y'all get comfortable. I hope y'all got y'all weed. United States of America versus Terrence Williams. Criminal action case number 9857, Section D. Okay. Defendant's response to government's motion and incorporated memorandum for reduction of sentence. Trying to get a sentence reduced. Pursuant to Rule 35. Oh, Lord. Uh-oh. Y'all don't know. Y'all gonna learn about Rule 35 in a second. Don't worry. He's pursuing the rule. He's pursuing a Rule 35. Just remember that. Okay. May it please the court. The defendant herein, through undersigned counsel, files the following response to the government's motion and incorporated memorandum of reduction of sentence pursuant to Rule 35, respectfully requesting that the court grant the government's motion, but additionally consider a greater reduction than requested by the government based on the following factors. The extensive nature of the Mr. Williams cooperation. The extensive nature of Mr. Williams' cooperation. Look, down me not do. All right. The need to avoid unwarranted sentencing disparities under 18 U.S.C. 3553 with sentence reductions given to, why they keep talking about reducing the sentence? See, that ain't looking good already. Reductions given to similarly situated defendants in the Eastern District of Los Angeles, all right. But this Eastern District of New York, this is just the opening shit.
Yo, he was going
to avoid unwarranted sentencing disparities with sentence reductions given nationally and similarly situated.
Yeah, he was going from prison to prison, y'all, getting people booked. I ain't ready to watch all that. So I already know what it was. He was going from prison to prison, using his celebrity status, like I told y'all like 2 years ago now, using his celebrity status as being involved in Cash Money and being related to Baby, getting people to talk about their cases. That's why Baby don't fuck with him. Getting people to self-snitch. And he was sending them over. So they say Fredo Bang had a deposition. They Mickey Truth released it. And Mickey Truth been on the roll over there lately. And YNW Melly case.
Tell us up, Truth Team. It's your girl, Mickey Truth. SC's No More Urban Blogger and the Queen of Paperwork. Y'all.
Of Lenandra Phillips et al. Versus Jamel Demons et al. This is taken the Circuit Court of the 17th Judicial Circuit in for Broward County, Florida. The case number today is CACE-20-017735. Today's date is September 26, 2024. This deposition is being held virtually. The court reporter today is Neilana Jackson on behalf of Magna. The video operator is Carl Starkweather on behalf of Magna. At this time, could counsel and others please introduce themselves and state who they represent?
John Phillips for the estate of Christopher Thomas.
And Aaron Papero on behalf of the co-plaintiff, Phil Holiday.
Mark DeCalden and D'Amica Davis here on behalf of Frederick Givens.
Hi, good morning, Scott Kagan on behalf of two defendants, 100K Management LLC and Jameson Francois.
My name is Tom Lynch. I'm the special master for the depositions, I think for other discovery matters as well.
Okay, is that all? All right. At this time, could Ms. Jackson please swear in the witness, and after which we can proceed with the deposition. Thank you.
Mr. Givens, would you raise your right hand to be sworn, please, sir?
I'm a witness.
You're the deponent? Yes.
Not of any particular thing, just for purposes of the deposition.
Oh, okay. That's just the word y'all use. Okay.
Okay, sir. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Whenever the attorney's ready, I'm ready.
Thank you so much. Mr. Givens, my name's John Phillips. I represent Juvie's family, so Christopher Thomas. Look, I've gone through a lot of your stuff. We're going to have a lot of questions for you today, but it's going to be fair. And you've got two attorneys and basically a judge sitting here that's going to keep it fair. And I'm cognizant of you having CRP, right? In one of your interviews, you talked about CRP.
Yeah.
For everybody else, that's courtroom phobia.
Yeah, phobia, yeah.
The good news is we're not in a courtroom. Looks like you're at your house.
Yeah.
Okay. Is anybody there with you today?
My dogs.
Okay. Well, I don't think they're going to coach you too much on what to say, so we should be good there. Look, if you don't understand any of my questions, stop me and ask, right? Because I want to ask questions that you understand and get this dang thing over for you as soon as possible. I'm in Jacksonville, so I suspect there's going to be a hurricane band coming this afternoon. So I don't feel like sitting here and picking on you during the rain either. But my client and Aaron's client and all of the parties here really depend on truthful answers and trying to understand what we can about what happened back in October of 2018. I also realize it's a long time ago. So with all that being said, would you state your full name for the record?
Frederick D1, Thomas Gibbons for 6.
Okay. And what do you go by?
God dang.
Some girl called
This would be an actual deposition.
for my partner.
She's the Mickey Truth, man.
Okay. You named after the kind of, or I guess associated with the other rapper, Fredo?
Yeah, you can watch my interviews.
I've watched every single one of them.
Dang.
We're gonna play some of them today and kind of go through everything. But if you've said it, I've probably watched it over the last couple of weeks.
I'm gonna get to it.
So you've done a great job. As far as you're aware, you've never been charged with a crime related to what happened between, or I guess what happened back in October of 2018, correct?
Objection to form.
Have you ever been charged with a crime related to any of this?
To this case or something?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Okay, very good. And do you recall a woman named Christine Bradley?
Never heard of her.
It's a prosecutor.
Do you recall meeting a prosecutor for the state of Florida?
Yeah, that's when I got kicked off the case for being
Oh,
dirty.
yeah, I got your check.
And do you recall whether she offered you what's called immunity, meaning if you talk, they wouldn't prosecute you?
Objection to form.
And I'm also going to object, and I'm going to instruct Mr. Gibbons to assert his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
About whether he met with Ms. Bradley and was offered immunity?
That wasn't the question. The question was he offered immunity? If that's what you're asking, if that's the question you're asking, I want to warn him into going any further with that, if that makes sense. And it's his right, and he can assert it, and the judge can rule on it.
Certainly. Let me make the question clear. Do you recall whether you were ever offered immunity in exchange for giving testimony in this case?
And I'm going to instruct the witness to assert his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
As to that question, I'm going to ask that he answer that question.
What the question was?
Do you recall whether you were offered immunity in this case?
I think I was. I can't really recall.
Very good.
And John, sir, I'm sorry, just so the record's clear, John, when you say this case, you're referring to the criminal case, not the civil case.
Obviously, yeah. Anything related to, what happened, I think I said at the first question, what happened back in October of 2018.
And Mr. Bank, if you remember something, please state that you remembered. If you don't remember, please don't.
I understand. I think I remember. I really think my head be kind of like, especially that I just woke up.
Okay. And the next series of questions are kind of ones I ask everybody, so don't take it personal. Are you under the influence of any medications or drugs or marijuana or alcohol that would affect your ability to testify today?
Nope, I'm sober as a 3-year-old.
Very good. Me too. And
no, you ain't.
So I want to talk. I don't want to belabor and overtalk the situation, but have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
I'm going to object. I'm going to ask that the witness assert his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, and I'm also going to request.
Why is Fredo looking like that? He's like a big ass kid.
Can't want to be there.
Man, what the world?
Move to strike his response.
Probably trying to figure out what the fuck going on.
Your response, sir? No, hold on. Counsel.
This is background information about his ability to testify about whether he's been convicted of a crime in a prior incident. I don't see how it has any bearing on his Fifth Amendment rights in this case.
Objection, that wouldn't come in trial anyway.
As to that particular question, I agree.
Actually, it absolutely would come in at trial because that would be one of the first questions we could ask. Ever been convicted of a crime, a felony, or a crime of dishonesty or false statement? And he could say yes, and how many times. So this is a discovery deposition. We should absolutely be permitted to ask if he has any felony convictions.
And I know he has a felony conviction, and that was the next question.
Well, I'm going to instruct the witness to answer that. You're right. It's a discovery depo. Sorry.
The reality is that the terms of what happened in those prior instances might be something that's objectionable as far as whether or not what Ms. Papero discussed as far as was he convicted of a crime, felony. So that's something that it could be asked, agreed, and admissible at trial. So,
and that's actually wrong as well. We can actually get into the facts of the prior crime. If he's already pled guilty to that, it's not like he would be incriminating himself. That would be double jeopardy. So we can ask him about prior convictions. We can ask him about the specifics of those prior convictions. This is a discovery deposition, so it shouldn't be any problem getting into any of that.
I agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead. No, sir, I cut you off. I'm sorry. Mr. Dickow.
I would say that wasn't the question, but I'm glad to. At this point, I forgot what it was, but I know that's not what it was.
Mr. Gibbons, have you ever been convicted of a felony?
Yes.
Tell us about the felony you were convicted of.
Which one?
Objection to form.
The first one.
I convicted all at the same time, so I don't really know which one came first.
And what was the underlying facts behind the felony for which you were convicted?
Underlying facts, I got arrested, and I pleaded guilty. I did time. Came home parole.
What was the felony? Attempted murder?
That was one of them.
Okay. What were the other felonies, as you recall?
Illegal use, stolen firearm, battery.
And my understanding, you were incarcerated for 2 to 3 years and then released on parole. Is that correct?
I ain't gonna tell you no lie. Fredo look like he just woke up. He look like he just woke up.
Yes.
You got off of parole in 2023. Do you recall when you got off of parole?
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He wasn't sure.
Thank you.
When did you first move to South Florida?
Moved or start visiting?
moved?
I think I became a resident in the last couple of years. I can't really say that I moved in here for years because of legally not legally allowed to move here.
Oh, because of the terms of the parole. In a lot of this is discussed in your interviews, and my understanding is that at some point your management was in South Florida. So
hold on. Is he pop locking? What is this? Like, what the world?
That's a yes.
Yes, sir.
And again, I'm not trying to pick on you, but
you good.
Like taking stuff down and
you good. I'm just still waking up. You good?
That's fair. And how did you first meet Jamel Demons, aka YNW Melly?
For a feature.
Okay. Do you recall which song?
We didn't do that the first time we met.
Okay. Did you meet through track?
I can't say if I did or didn't. Probably. I can't really say if I did or did not.
My understanding from the interviews is that Track wanted to be your manager.
He has before, but I don't know if it was at that specific time.
He wanted to be your manager, or he has been your manager before?
He has wanted to be my manager before.
Yeah. But, do you know how you first met Track, or how Track first kind of came after you?
Can't remember.
Well, recruited you as a client. Do you know when that all happened?
Can't remember.
Okay.
What up, guys?
What is Top Boy Gorilla?
A rap label.
Is it a label you own?
No. We're signed to.
Sweet. Let me just do this. I'm going to play some interviews, and then I'm going to pause them and ask you some questions during them to try to speed some of this up. Do you recall doing an interview in December of 2018 with Vlad?
No, it was Vlad. Vlad name always popping up.
Okay. Who was Vlad?
Always popping up.
Which Vlad? I know a lot of Vlads.
Okay. Do you recall the media member or interviewer named Vlad that you've met?
I don't know some Vlads.
Was Two-Face Bang your first release?
When you say release, you gotta be more specific.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, I got to tell a jury of people that aren't in the game about how some of this stuff works. So let's just get into it.
In the game, in the music industry.
Yeah, the music game. Yeah. What is a mixtape?
Mixtape. That's a bunch of songs on tape.
And who does it get released to? How does it get distributed?
However you put it out, distribution company, YouTube.
And I guess in the old days, it was actually a tape that was kind of passed around. Now we've got Spotify, we've got YouTube, we've got other streaming services that you can post that stuff up to.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Room chat. Listen, we only 30 minutes in, and just as dry as the paperwork. Fredo, the paperwork didn't even prepare us, okay, for the pop locking and stuff that Fredo got going on. But what we're gonna do for now, we're gonna put a pause in it right here, because it's 3.5 hours. We gotta break this thing down. Oh, y'all think we should just let it ride a little bit longer? Maybe we should let it ride a little bit longer. It's just sometimes the upload. No, we're gonna do it in 30-minute increments, because sometimes uploading these extra long videos, I don't know. Let's see. We're gonna ride out a little bit longer.
Too fast, Trevor, too fast.
I know what I'm doing, Mom.
This is 3 hours long. God damn.
Yeah, I'm a little freaked out.
I'd be mad as a bitch if I was y'all.
Explain to me how you distributed Two-Face Bang.
I didn't know the labels did.
Okay. Who were you signed with back then?
The Lights Global.
Okay. And in this interview that's released December of 2018, you talk about having Melly as a contributor on that?
A feature, yeah.
Yeah. And when was that recorded?
I have no idea. Can't remember. Sometime before the tape came out.
And with that feature, did you do a contract deal?
I'm not sure because at that time, my label was kind of like doing it in a what's the word I want to use? Unprofessional way as far as putting out music. Well, it wasn't structured completely in the proper way. Let me say it wasn't structured properly. So recall if they did the proper paperwork on it or anything like that.
Do you recall whether that feature that Melly did was done with you in studio or whether you guys did it separately?
What y'all think Fredo's writing in the phone? Because he obviously texting on Instagram. He probably on Twitter talking about Glow or something right now.
We wasn't in the studio together.
Okay. You have been in studio together before, but just not that time?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay. I think you told one interviewer you've been in studio with Melly either hundreds or thousands of times. Is that correct?
Can't recall it.
Okay. We'll attach that video as plaintiff's exhibit 1.
Well, I do be lying, so I might have to.
Well, and I got to figure out we got to go back through and figure out what's the truth and what's a lie. Okay?
Hey, Fredo said I do be lying though.
Did you recall whether that feature that Melly...
I think that's a good starting point, y'all. Hey, he said I do be lying though, y'all. I feel bad, but boy, this Fredo video got me like, like this man is hilarious. And although this is a serious situation, because this is a civil deposition, just the fact, for one, he pop locking. For two, he on his phone walking around talking to his dogs. He look like he just woke up. There's a lot going on. We're going to get into part 2 and part 3 coming up. Y'all make sure y'all run up the video, like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend, pull up on your girl, Mickey Truth. Catch you on the next one.
Holla!
Shout out Mickey. Mickey, you gonna be big.
Yeah,
I'm trying to conquer the world.
She gonna milk the show. This motherfucker. Are you ready to go into the Dirk paperwork? She gonna milk the show. That motherfucker. That bitch probably last 3 weeks. Federal Bank Deposition Part 35. She gonna break that bitch up like Vlad. Hold on, y'all. Trying to make a thumbnail. Alright. Alrighty, shit. I had to send the Dirk paperwork to my fucking, I had to send that shit to my motherfucking, what's it called? Hold on. They keep locking me out. Hold on, let me do that shit from my phone. What up, y'all? Got this Dirk paperwork, but for some reason on my computer, it did not let me log in. Somebody send these documents to my email. So we got 2 documents on Dirk. Alright, we back, y'all. We back. We back. We back. We back. That like button. Hit the cash app. I think y'all want to go through first. Dirk replied to the opposition. All right, so this is the government opposition to Dirk's motion. I think we gotta read this. Let me see. Table of contents. All right. Can y'all see this? The second superseding indictment charged the defendant with, among other crimes, murder for hire resulting in death, conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and stalking resulting in death. Trial is set to begin on January 20th, 2026. I think they're going to postpone that date, y'all. I think that date going to get postponed. Because I don't think they're ready. I think it's going to be one of them situations where the case keep getting postponed, just so if they lose, they got some time out of them. Maybe 2 years. At trial, defendant cannot credibly dispute that TB and his entourage were stalked for hours across Los Angeles, and that SR was brazenly murdered in broad daylight by 3 of the stalkers. Rather, the disputed facts and the crux of the trial will be who ordered and participated in the calculated murder and why. The SSI contains core allegations necessary to answer these questions and to prove the government's case, including 1, evidence establishing motive, including that in 2020, Davon Bennett, aka King Von, a high-ranking OTF member and close friend of defendant Banks, was shot and killed following a physical altercation with TB at a nightclub in Atlanta, Georgia. And 2, evidence about defendant Banks' leadership of OTF, which operates both as a legitimate music enterprise with a group of members, including defendant Banks, who operate consistent with a street gang seeking revenge and perpetrating violence on behalf of OTF. Despite the obvious materiality of these case positive issues, defendant Banks' motion seeks to exclude essentially all evidence related to them, effectively blinding the jury to evidence necessary to tell a coherent and accurate story about SR's murder. Among other things, evidence proving these core allegations is necessary to explain why the Los Angeles murder was committed and the identity, roles, and relationship of each of the co-conspirators, including defendant Banks. Banks, who attempted to conceal his participation by acting through trusted intermediaries, including defendant Wilson, whoever the fuck Blank is. The motion should be denied in its entirety for several reasons. First, defendant attempts to isolate each piece of disputed evidence and apply Rule 404B, where much of the evidence is what the fuck is that word? What the fuck is this word, y'all? Inextricably, I don't know, intertwined with the charges and not subject to Rule 404. Second, defendant argues for exclusion because the evidence will purportedly cause a mini trial and or defendant's admission, including lyrics, are subject to differing interpretations. As set forth below, the government intends to streamline and expediently present the crucial evidence at trial, or critical, most through witnesses, including those cooperating with the government who will already be testifying at trial. Moreover, to the extent defendant ascribes a meaning to defendants, statements that differ from the government's interpretations, that is the purpose for a jury trial. So they saying, yo, we don't have to tell you what coded language is. Y'all can argue that at the jury trial. So we don't have to give you what that means. We let the jury decide if it's coded language or not. That's what the prosecution is saying. The court should therefore reject defendant's request to prevent the jury from hearing the following highly probative evidence, which is critical to telling a coherent and accurate story about SR's murder. Evidence related to TB's associates shooting and killing Davon Bennett. That following Bennett's 2020 death, defendant Banks and OTF members faced pressure from fans to slide for Vaughn, referring to seeking revenge for Bennett's death. That damn DJ Academics, y'all, telling you that interview played a major role, and it was intentional. Y'all keep supporting that fuck boy. Y'all here trying to get your favorite rapper book. DJ Academics don't like black people, y'all. It's not one of us. If you don't believe me, go back and listen to them when he was reporting on Chicago, and listen how he called them kids cones. Yeah, we don't call each other cones in the black community, unless you're really a cone. We don't call misguided, underprivileged youth cones. You know what I mean? Look, defendant Banks' statements on the podcast, acknowledging the public pressure to slide for Vaughn, and 2, admitting the pressure subsided after the Los Angeles murder of SR, noting, for some reason, I don't see those comments no more. For some odd reason. This evidence is a party admission and otherwise inextricably, intertwined with the charges and not subject to Rule 404B. Yo, how the fuck is that an admission? For some reason, I don't hear that no more. Oh my God. Yo, they go reaching again. Evidence related to OTF structure and defendant banks' control over OTF members, including 2 text threads in which defendant banks discuss violence targeted against rivals. This evidence is inextricably intertwined with the charges and material to proving the relationship among co-conspirators, identity, intent, plan, modus apparatus, and absence of mistake. So remember those text messages. Remember, they still trying to fight to get those text messages in. I don't think the judge ruled on that. These are the text messages that Didi is trying to separate itself from. Evidence related, because he's not in none of those text messages. Those text messages strictly pertaining to DURK for the most part. Evidence related to certain of defendant banks' lyrics, i.e. admissions, about placing boundaries and green lighting violence. This evidence is a part of the admission and otherwise material to prove identity, intent, whatever. Evidence showing in 2022, Chicago murder was motivated by money linked to OTF and defendant banks. So they're describing why we should be able to bring all this irrelevant evidence in and saying this is relevant. Even though it has nothing to do with the case, it's relevant for the reasons of he's arrested for murder for hire. So they still haven't released any evidence or even spoke of any evidence thus far. For the reasons described below, the court should reject the motion in full so the government can prove these court allegations. Integral to its case and present a coherent story to the and present a coherent story to the jury. For substantially similar reasons, the court should also deny defendant Wilson, Lindsay, and Ashley Houston requests for severance. These defendants failed to demonstrate any unfair prejudice in a conspiracy trial. From the introduction of evidence showing how the conspiracy operated, the relationship between co-conspirators, and the motive for the conspiracy. Any concern for unfairness can be addressed through eliminating instructions from the court, as trial court routinely do and courts of appeal routinely affirm. The consumption of court time for multiple trials far outweighs any risk of unfair prejudice in this case. The motion to sever should be denied. So a bunch of legal shit. All right. Under Rule 44B, evidence of a defendant prior crimes or wrongful acts may not be introduced to show bad character, but it is admissible to show motive, opportunity, intent, plan, knowledge, absence of mistake, or lack of accident. The Ninth Circuit has constantly held that Rule 44B is a rule of inclusion, which permits the admission of otherwise relevant crimes or acts except where it tends to prove only criminal deposition. Defendant Banks concedes that most of the government's proposed evidence will not properly fall within the preview of Rule 44B. The government agrees. That is why the government's preliminary disclosure stated that the motive related to evidence of OTF and defendant banks, rival with TB, was direct evidence of and inextricably intertwined with the murder charges of the Southern States, the SSI, which should be admitted against all defendants. The government seeks to introduce 2 discrete categories of motive-related evidence that are necessary to explain the events surrounding SR murders. 1, evidence related to the murder of Bennett in November 2020, and defendant Banks and his OTF co-conspirators, rival with TB, and public pressure. So they really gonna use public pressure as a motive. Damn. They really gonna use that as a motive. Including for defendant Banks and OTF fans who repeatedly and publicly demanded that Banks exact revenge by sliding for Vaughn. For that, see, this is fucking trolls, y'all. Troll ass, bitch ass fans. Niggas talking about slide for Vaughn. Niggas fucking clowns. Following behind 6ix9ine, who's a fucking federal informant. 6ix9ine played a role in this shit too. A Fed agent. 6ix9ine introduced slide for Vaughn. And motherfuckers really copied your bitch ass. Statements and or omission the defendants made about sliding for Vaughn and fan pressure. Defendant concedes this 6ix9ine video is fuck around being evidence. Defendant concedes this evidence is relevant to the government's theory that the OTF defendant sought revenge against TB, but argues the evidence should be excluded. One, based on inapplicable case law analysis, analyzing Rule 44B evidence, and two, because the introduction of evidence will purportedly result in a mini trial. First, contrary to defendant's claims, the motive evidence is subject to Rule 44B. Rule 44 exists to dissuade jurors from convicting a defendant because of otherwise unrelated evidence of defendant's bad character. Well, that's what y'all are trying to do, though. The rule simply has no applicability for the above acts, as the government is not contending that any defendant in this case killed Bennett. The facts show someone affiliated with TB did, which is why the evidence is relevant in this case. This motive evidence is clearly admissible, as it is necessary to explain the reason that defendant Banks, oh yeah, they're gonna let that shit in. I don't know about all the text messages, but they're gonna let the King Vaughn shit in. Like I don't. That's a fight they're gonna lose. They're gonna let that in. And show how and why the hitman in this case flew across the country in search of a reward for the killing. I'm talking about Aryan Brotherhood. Now this is DURK response to that. The government opposition repeats ad nauseum that the proposed Rule 44B evidence, which is now calling inextricably intertwined, is necessary to prove core issues in this trial. The government claims reveal the weakness of its case in chief. Without unadorned, unreliable other acts evidence, the government is unable to tell a coherent story about the murder that occurred on August 19, 2022. Yo, didn't I say that, yo? Like, it would be crazy how we say these things and it should end up in paperwork. Didn't I say that? They're going to try to use all this other stuff to prove that this case is true, but they don't have any evidence. How many times we said that over here? This ain't like a prime tool used by the government. It's the same tool they used on Diddy. We don't have any evidence of sex trafficking, but we do got evidence of domestic violence. Same concept. Or at least one which incorporates Mr. Banks, irrespective of the deficiencies in the government case. The government needs for evidence does not exempt it from the rules of evidence. The government hopes that this court will disregard the necessary individualized assessment of each piece of evidence and admit the Rule 44B evidence in bulk as intrinsic evidence, additionally disregarding the safeguards of Rule 403. This court should reject that invitation. I'm ready to read the legal nonsense. The government misunderstands Mr. Banks' argument that most of the government's proposed evidence did not properly fall within the preview of Rule 44B. This is not because the evidence is intrinsic. It's because the evidence is not an other act. The act that the government seeks to admit to show Mr. Banks' motive is an act that someone else committed, specifically Timothy Leaks, who shot and killed Mr. Bennett on November 6, 2020, outside a hookah lounge in Atlanta. Mr. Banks was not there or even in the state of Georgia at the time, so there was no act that Mr. Banks committed for the government to use as motivated related evidence. I don't know. I don't think they're going to win that part. What the government really seeks to admit is a historically fact, perhaps, the fact that Leaks killed Mr. Bennett after Bennett and TB were involved in a physical altercation, or that Bennett was killed at all. But even Mr. Bennett's death bears little meaningful relevance to this case. Mr. Banks is not alleged to have ordered violence against Mr. Leaks. The fact that Mr. Leaks killed Mr. Bennett in 2020 does not bear on Mr. Banks' purported motive in his case, where Mr. Leaks is not a victim. Additionally, the government seeks to omit evidence of public pressure on Mr. Banks to slide for Vaughn or avenge the killing of Mr. Bennett. But the pressure to seek revenge for Bennett's death does not show motive in this case because Mr. Banks is not charged with seeking violence against Mr. Bennett's killer. The evidence does not satisfy the requirements of Rule 404B, nor is it intertwined with the facts of the present case. The government suggests that May 2021 shooting incident in Blackshire, Georgia, where TB was present, perpetrated by persons unknown, is inextricably intertwined with all charges in this case. Oh, so they're gonna bring up the other shooting where nigga tried to kill Quando Rondo. I didn't know they was gonna bring that up. Y'all remember that? So they're gonna bring that up too. But it's also direct evidence of stalking. The government omits the fact that there is no evidence which shows that Mr. Banks or any other co-defendant in this case was involved in the shooting, save for the shaky narrative of one cooperating witness who is facing a potential life sentence. So we know one of the shooters is telling. Moreover, in 2021, shooting cannot reasonably be taken as inextricably intertwined with the alleged stalking and shooting that occurred on August 19, 2022. All right, so basically what the defense saying is to prove stalking. All right, so what the prosecution is trying to do is the defense is saying based off of this alone shooting or this alone targeted hit, you can't say he actually stalked. Stalking is something that happens over a period of time. Stalking happens more than once. So what the government is trying to do is say that, well, he tried to kill him. He tried to kill him in Blackshire, Georgia, too. But this is all based off of a snitch that's under indictment. When y'all know I don't trust them niggas. I don't think nobody should trust them. They say anything. But the government's going to try to use that. And mind you, this witness gave multiple statements. Moreover, in 2021 shooting cannot reasonably be taken as inextricably intertwined with the alleged stalking and shooting that occurred on August 19, 2022 in Los Angeles, as the facts, people, and context are extremely dissimilar. The government cites, because nobody got arrested for this, the government cites United States versus whatever, to suggest that prior unsuccessful attempts to kill TB at Mr. Banks' supposed request explain the nature of the conspiratorial relationship and the contours of the alleged murder plot. In this case, basically what I just told y'all. But in that case, where the defendant was charged with arson, the corroborated testimony regarding two previous failed arsons attempt was omitted as inextricably intertwined because it explained the nature of their co-conspiratorial relationship and how and why the fire was set in a manner that it was. Specifically, the co-conspirators, the corroborators' testimony regarding two previous attempts explained why the fire was started in a unique way to avoid fire suppression system and with the key given to him by the defendant. The testimony showed how, through two failed attempts, the co-conspirators learned how to better avoid the fire suppression system and, put simply, how to more effectively burn a building. The fact of the 2021 shooting incident in Blackshire where TB was present are as follows. A group of men allegedly shot at TB at a gas station in Georgia. The investigation into this shooting was conducted by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and they were unable to identify any suspects. PW2 is the only source of information for the government regarding any context or participant in this shooting. Further, even PW2's statements are vague regarding the participants in this act. He named only two individuals, only one of whom could arguably have any affiliation with OTF or Mr. Banks, and some of whom PW2 did not even know and could not identify. No other defendants in this case were alleged to be involved. The only similarity between the two acts that it allegedly occurred at a gas station and TB was present. The 2021 Blackshire shooting incident bears no unique resemblance to and has no meaningful impact on the 2022 shooting of SR in Los Angeles. They are entirely unrelated, and the evidence did not satisfy the requirements of 404B, nor is inextricably intertwined with the facts of the present case. Why my fucking reading shit ain't working no more, man? The government claims that this is nearly unintentional threat is evidence that Mr. Banks has control over the people who are willing to act on his behalf, even though there is no evidence that the threat was ever acted upon by Mr. Banks or any other persons whom he alleged exercise control. The government cannot show that the recipients of that message was ever killed, accosted, or in any way harmed by anyone at the behest of Mr. Banks. Moreover, the recipient, the threat, is in no way affiliated with this case. Through this message, the government is attempting to bolster its case with an impermissible inference that Mr. Banks is the type of person that would threaten someone else. In other words, a person with a violent character and propensity for violence. It has no bearing on this case, does not satisfy the requirement of 404B, and would certainly run afoul of 403. Text thread in which Mr. Banks told OTF members he was going to pipe it up. Here the government cherry picks one comment from a long group of text threads, allegedly between Mr. Banks and multiple other people discussing a variety of topics. If this piece of evidence were omitted, the defense would invoke Federal Rule Evidence 106, the rule of completeness, to argue that the rest of the text thread should also be omitted to provide context. Where a party introduces all or part of a statement, and every party may require the introduction at that time of any other part or any other statement that, in fairness, ought to be considered at the same time. So basically what he's saying, yo, you can't just, what's up, Big Stacks? Basically what he's saying is, yo, if you're going to release the statement, you got to release the whole thread. You can't release a portion of the statement because that can mislead the jury. How are we supposed to take that if we don't know what else was said? The conversation in its entirety includes a portion where the thread members discuss a phone call that seemingly diffused tension with a rival, one portion of the conversation about a basketball game, and one portion where members write, just for today, choose guidelines over misguidance, and choose humility over pride, to which others responded, peace and blessings. Specifically, the text where Mr. Banks allegedly said, I'm finna pipe it up, is later clarified in another text where he says, that's all letting y'all know I'm finna speak up. If the government believes that these texts, see, yo, there you go, misleading. You see what I just said? Yo, this is why I'm the best doing this, yo. I just said this. What the fuck happened to my mouse? Jesus Christ. Specifically, the text where Mr. Banks allegedly say, I'm finna pipe it up, is later clarified in other texts where he says, that's all, letting y'all know I'm finna speak up. If the government believes these texts to be party omissions, then another text clarifying the meaning of Mr. Banks' alleged words should dispel any belief that I'm finna pipe it up meant anything other than intentions to speak up. Additionally, with the inclusion of the greater message, the relevance of the proposed message is null, and it should be excluded. The messages fail to satisfy requirements of 404B and is not inextricably intertwined with any part of the case. Voice memo from unindicted OTF affiliate to PW1. The voice memo issue here is so unreliable that it actually cuts against the government's argument. A thorough review of the voice recording and text message surrounding it reveals the speaker is talking about someone named Unc, not Mr. Banks, giving money to people and dictating how other people run their business. Because it is so unclear whether the speaker is referring to Mr. Banks or somebody else named Unc, the voice memo cannot reasonably be reviewed as material to dispute issues in this case, cannot pass Rule 404B test, and is in no way inextricably intertwined with the facts in this case. The lyrics. The government's position that the lyrics are partly omission by Mr. Banks underscores its own inability to grasp the nature of rap music, and more broadly, art. The government has multiple corroborating witnesses with insider knowledge, cross-country intelligence regarding the murder of SR, and all that led to it, and 20 terabytes of phone data to rely on evidence in this case. If the government cannot prove its case without using Mr. Banks' unreliable, fictitious, and imaginative rap lyrics, the government has bigger problems than the subject in this motion. I ain't gonna lie, yo. He fucking Wiscom is going ham, yo. Who that lawyer is? Fuck the name of that lawyer is, man. Forgot his name. But he going in. Like, they is literally in a fight right now. The government states plainly that to the extent defendant ascribes meaning to defendant's lyrics that differ from the government's interpretation, that is the proposed of a jury trial. But it ignores the federal rules of evidence and the rule of court in admitting only evidence that comports with the rules and notions of justice. The government cannot simply present its own subjective translation of rap lyrics to jurors, throw its hands up and say it's for the jurors to decide. The evidence is still subject to federal rules of evidence. Banks' rap lyrics inexplicably depicts the crime that he is alleged to have committed. The government previously took that ill-fated approach when it included Mr. Banks' lyrics from the Future Verse, Wonderful Wayne, and Jackie Boy in its grand jury presentation and in the text of the first superseding indictment itself. The government fundamentally misunderstanding of this category of evidence and their reliance on a fan edit video ultimately led the government going back to the grand jury in an attempt to cure the issue and redirect this case and reindict the case, which they did. Rather, the government seeks to omit what the fuck is that? Of snippets from various songs by Mr. Banks to paint one broader picture of him as a violent person who has his enemies killed. The government suggests that the lyrics show intricate knowledge of the Los Angeles murder that only those involved would likely know, and then points to lyrics in which Mr. Banks is seemingly addressing widespread online comments, which are quite literally known to millions of people. As stated in defendant Banks' motion in limine, if the government were to admit Mr. Banks' rap lyrics as evidence against him, it would undoubtedly result in a mini trial on the reliability of rap lyrics as evidence in a criminal case. This would add significant time to what will already be a lengthy trial, as the government would need to elicit expert testimony authenticating and translating the lyrics for jurors. Of course, the defense would simply call an expert in rap music who would testify to the lyrics themselves, as well as hyperbole, imaginative, and fictitious nature of rap music, as well as sound engineers and writers who took part in the collaborative process of creating the music, which the government now calls criminal admissions. The Chicago murder. Stephen Mack's homicide in Chicago in January 2027 has nothing to do with Mr. Banks and is entirely irrelevant to these proceedings. The government suggesting that because the alleged murders mentioned Mr. Banks in a text thread 2 weeks after the commission of the crime, that somehow inculpates Mr. Banks in the Chicago case is misplaced and dangerous. Even more concerning, the government believes that an image posted by the alleged shooter, in this case holding money while a Lord Durk song playing in the background, is highly probative of defendant Banks' identity as a contractor for the hit on TB. The victim in the Chicago case was not TB, nor anyone affiliated with him. And as Mr. Banks is one of the most widely celebrated artists from Chicago, it is commonplace that someone in Chicago will post on social media with a song in his background. Moreover, the act at issue here is a text sent by and received by people who are in no way affiliated with this case, that is not an other act as contemplated under the rule of evidence to be used against Mr. Banks, a distinction the government ought to recognize. Conclusion. None of this evidence proposed by the government satisfy the requirements of Rule 404B, nor is it inextricably intertwined with the facts of this case. Rather, the government attempts to omit irrelevant evidence through Rule 404B or to evade requirements of Rule 404B, although altogether by calling the evidence inextricably intertwined is a transparent effort to bolster its case with impermissible character evidence. The evidence should be excluded from this trial. Yeah, they fighting. I don't know who's gonna win. I think they both got points. You know, I think the government got points when it comes down to King Von death. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be used. I think the defense got good points when they talk about all these other crimes that Durk has not been charged with. You know, them text messages. If you're gonna introduce text message, you gotta introduce the whole thread, because that can mislead the jury. But we'll see how the judge vote or weigh on this shit. You know, how he ruled. That's the word I'm looking for. How the judge ruled on it. But make sure I hit that like button, yo. Make sure I hit the Cash App. Donate to the platform, man. Told y'all about Terrence Williams. Not surprised about any of this stuff. I think we already know it. It's just so crazy that it tends to get overlooked until somebody else say it. But you know, we've been dealing with that shit for a long time over here. See the Candace Owens, man. She playing a dangerous game, but shit, somebody gotta do it. You know, somebody gotta tell the truth and call out the nonsense and the fuckery. You know, it seems like we ain't got too many people willing to speak out. You know, because they're afraid to lose anything. Fuck losing everything. They're afraid to lose anything. And whenever you speaking out and speaking your mind and standing on something, yo, you got, you know, losing things is part of the equation. You gotta be ready for that. But appreciate y'all as always. Hit that like button. If you're watching this on a replay, hit the hype button. Matter of fact, if you're watching it live, once it upload, hit the hype button. We need to hype the videos so we can get in the algorithm. Share the live so we can get the algorithm. It's another day. Keep it G News.